Lasagna, it's a glorious dish utilizing very wide, flat sheets of pasta stacked in layers alternating fillings such as, but not limited to, ragu, a meat-based tomato sauce, bechamel, a white sauce, and cheeses such as mozzarella, ricotta, parmigiano reggiano. Did I do that right? This glorious stack of Italian goodness is then placed into an oven, baked until the top gets crispy. Ooh, do I like the edged pieces.
That's a part you steal before you give it to the customer.
Yeah. But there's nothing to love about Jamie Oliver's one-pan scruffy veg lasagna. It's just as bad as this frickin' hotel room and me doing this ghetto job recording into my phone because I forgot to film this intro and I'm in the middle of nowhere, Texas, but for good reason. Before I go on with today's episode, I do want to give a special shout out to my amazing new patron, Lynette Kopetsky. Thank you so much for your support. And with that said, on to the reaction. Man, I love lasagna. My mom, that was one of the first non-Asian dishes my mom would make. She would just make these big aluminum trays and eat it for a week, and I would gladly eat it every single day. And today...
Looks like we're going to go eat lasagna today.
We're going to go eat lasagna, but today we're going to do another double feature, and we are going to watch...
A good and a bad.
Do you want to do the bad first?
I think so.
No, we do the bad later.
Really?
Sorry, buddy. I wasn't giving you a choice. But first, we watch Joshua Wiseman make a lasagna, okay? Oh.
Oh, wait. Does he have prosciutto in there?
I'm not sure, but...
Do you see that oil coming out?
Yeah.
That's like a rendered...
That's like an animal fat. Yeah. He's also making his own pasta sheets. Yeah, that's badass. That's commitment. Yes. I would never do that out of just sheer laziness. I can. Let's make that clear.
Got carrots in there. It's got bay leaf, carrots.
When you make lasagna, the first thing that you always make is the sauce. It takes the longest, and you can do it up to 3 days ahead of time. Plus, it tastes better after a day in the fridge. So in order to make that, you're going to need 1 pound or 450 grams of ground beef, and 1 pound or 450 grams of ground pork.
My favorite is beef, veal, and pork.
And what about some sausage?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like some merguez or,
I would do a couple of sausages.
Yeah, a couple sausages.
Definitely.
If you want to know where I got it, the link will be in the description. It's actually surprisingly cheap.
I had to buy that for my episode of Beef Bobby Flay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had to buy the attachment.
Oh, that's right, because for your episode, you ground your own beef,
I
too.
did.
Yeah, that was badass. Should we react to Frenchy's episode of Beef Bobby Flay? It's definitely going to get demonetized, so we'll do it on Patreon or something.
No, who cares? It should be an extra...
I care.
What do you mean?
I care.
Put it on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. We'll put it on the podcast if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Check out our podcast. That's right. We have a second channel. Link in the description below. It's called the So You Wanna Get Fat Podcast, where we react to even more stuff that is food adjacent, some funny stuff, some current news, and, lots of hijinks. So make sure you check it out. Link in the description below.
Just basically used a chuck roast, cut up, and just put that through the grinder. And then for the ground pork, I ended up using pork shoulder. More specifically, Boston butt, just sort of cut up and, ground. Now, if you do grind it fresh, just make sure to knead your meat for about a minute, and that does not sound good.
Okay, I love him.
Yeah.
But I already have issues. All the meat should be cold. I wouldn't even be so offended if you put it in the freezer.
Right.
You cut the pieces that are going to fit
Right.
into your grinder,
Yes.
put that in the
Right.
freezer, put all the parts of the grinder in the freezer.
Yes. Get it cold.
The bowl
Yeah.
should be cold. So like
Yeah.
a stainless steel bowl, not a
Yeah.
glass bowl. So everything should be cold
Right.
constantly.
Right.
And don't overwork it. Just
Yeah.
grind it all up
Yeah.
and then fold it in at the very last
Right.
second.
I'm very glad you actually mentioned that, because I've watched this video. I've never reacted to this video, but I watched this video when it came out, and
I can tell it's already overworked. But
Right.
listen,
listen, it still will work out to be a good
yes,
sauce.
But the consistency will be more of a meatball,
Yeah.
where
Yes.
it's tied it
Right,
together.
It's tight.
and
It's a
like-
little bouncy.
But a lasagna needs to crumble.
Yes,
It needs to crumble.
yes.
It
Very
just
good.
needs to be all...
Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up, because this will tie into something.
See, because now we're not in the Asian food where I'm just
Yeah.
like,
What's it
now
called?
I know what I'm talking about.
What's it going
eh?
on? Yeah,
you know, my 43%
Yeah, 43%.
Italian is coming out or not, eh? Hey.
The reason why you want to grind things cold is, number one, when you grind it cold, it'll actually have more separation in all the ground parts. Now, for a good meat sauce, Italian style meat sauce, you want that separation of protein. So if you kept everything cold, number one, it's gonna help keep all those little particles separate. And then if you get that sauteing, right, in a big pot, you'll have an easier time of breaking everything apart. I agree with you. I love Joshua. And even if you do this step, the sauce will come out just fine, ultimately. We are getting super nitpicky.
Yes.
But when you need meat like that, you are going to get a meatball / meatloaf texture. So think about the difference of a fast food burger and a gourmet burger where they just ground the meat the same day, right? The texture is day and night. Fast food burger will have a very specific bounce, but you'll notice when you bite into that gourmet burger that's been freshly ground where the meat hasn't been overworked, because that's the biggest misconception of burger patties is that you want to work it. No. You want to actually manipulate it as little as possible. It'll actually be way more tender, have a much more
when you can
true
recognize
meat texture.
When you can still visually see the noodles.
Yeah, right.
In the patty.
Right.
That's
you know
perfection.
I know we just been shitting all over British chefs like crazy, but you know who really did an amazing experiment on this was Heston Blumenthal, British chef. He's one of those super sciencey chefs.
I know the science because I did the science with Pat. But when you're cooking it, the uniformity of it and the noodles, the heat conducts so much better.
Right.
And it sears perfectly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to it.
Right.
There's a lot of reasoning behind doing it that way, that process of like not overworking the meat.
You're gonna take about half your meat mixture or so, and you're gonna pat it into a large thin patty and place it in that pot. Make sure the pot is super hot. Pro tip, whatever you do not season this with salt yet because the salt's gonna draw out water and it's not gonna get as good of a brown.
Okay, I'll
and then
give you
just
that,
sear
but
it for about 2 to 3 minutes on both sides. You should get a nice sort of browning. And you're gonna repeat that until you used up all of the meat. Just make sure not to overcrowd the pan. Now, I actually almost forgot to add this to my pan, so I had to cook it separately and then add it to the sauce. But in that same pan, you're gonna cook off 4 ounces or 113 grams of guanciale or pancetta over medium heat just until it sort of releases its fat and fries in it, just like bacon until it's nice and crispy and brown.
Don't forget that liquid gold.
The fat.
Yeah.
1 medium-sized onion, finely diced, 1 finely diced celery rib. And
So this is moving very fast, but what Josh is doing is he's cooking the meat. He's leaving all that fat in the pot. He's not wasting anything. He's gonna cook that sofrito, that veg.
No, it's mirepoix. Sofrito is not mirepoix. It's the same ideology.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
But it's
cooked with olive oil.
Yeah.
That's
a mirepoix.
finely diced carrots.
Okay.
Give that a little stir and then just let that cook and saute over medium heat for about 2 minutes or until all the vegetables turn translucent and begin to soften. Then add 3 tablespoons or 60 grams of tomato paste. Give that a stir and then just cook that in the pot until it...
So when you add in the tomato paste...
I love that.
Number one, when you add in the tomato paste and cook it, you are again removing the moisture, intensifying the flavors. You have to be careful when you do this because it gets lava hot, but this is how you create flavor.
You gotta be careful because you don't want that splatter and it sticks to you. It's like lava. You get those burns.
And when this technique is called pinçage. Okay, it is a miracle. I'm sorry.
Then add 1 cup or
incredible hot.
236 milliliters
I have those
of white
smells.
wine,
I can
or just
smell it.
water.
I can smell it right now.
I can smell it.
And also, in case you don't know what a mirepoix is, it is a combination of onions, celery, and carrot. It's going to be 2 parts onions, 1 part celery, 1 part carrot.
Give that a stir and let that simmer until it's reduced by about half, and then add 1.5 cups or 354 milliliters of chicken stock. I had some frozen chicken stock, so I had to improvise here. And then 1 17.6 ounce or 500 gram container of crushed tomatoes. Add your meat along with its juices, then just let that simmer for about 1 to 2 hours or until it's nice and reduced and mostly meaty. You don't want it to be super runny, otherwise you're just gonna get a really liquidy lasagna. So you want something, hearty and meaty. Also, towards the end of the simmer, I kind of like to use a vegetable masher just to crush everything.
This is why I was so glad you brought up not creating meatloaf, because if he just literally kept everything cold,
didn't move it,
and just put it into a bigger pot than this, I would have bigger pot than this, then you probably could have skipped this step. You still would inevitably get some chunks, but definitely
you'll get
manageable.
enough sear.
That way it's just not too chunky, it's nice and even. So that's it. That's your sauce. Now, like I said, you can make this stuff ahead. I actually like to make it a day ahead because I just let the flavors marry in the fridge. But
Am I drooling?
I'm drooling.
I'm extra. So you're going to start with 3 cups or 480 grams of all-purpose flour. And you're going to add to that half a teaspoon or 3 grams of fine sea salt. Whisk that together and then sort of make a little well in that flour mixture and add 5 whole eggs. Start whisking that together with a fork, just slowly bringing in the flour on the sides and incorporating it very slowly. And then once it starts to come together, just begin kneading it. If it's too dry, you can also just add a little bit of cold water, about a tablespoon or so at a time, until it comes together. Then once you get a nice cohesive dough, knead that until it's relatively smooth. It doesn't have to be perfect.
So really quick, one way you could actually skip a lot of this is form the dough in a Roboku.
Yeah.
It happens so fast. Like when I first saw somebody do this, I was like, oh my God. Like you basically skip a whole step, and you're going to be manipulating the dough so much anyway while you're rolling it out and stuff. It'll get enough work. But if you put all
That's what that weird arm is for. That comes with the
weird
when
arm.
you buy the KitchenAid.
Yeah.
It comes with it.
The
pasta arm.
I'm talking about a Roboku or a food processor. If you put the flour and the egg in there and you just do that, it'll mix it.
Yeah. Plastic wrap and let it rest at room temperature for about an hour. Once the dough is rested, divide it into 4 equal pieces, then flatten each piece into a rough oval and run it through a pasta roller at the thickest setting, making sure to dust it with flour so it doesn't stick, which by the way, you can get this in the link in my description. Then just keep rolling that dough on a thinner and thinner setting, 1 notch at a time, until you either reach the thinnest setting or it's thin enough that you can see your hand through it, like whenever you hold it up to the light. That's sort of what you're looking for. Now you might be thinking, well, why make my own noodles? But there's a huge advantage to making your own noodles, which is you can cut them to whatever dimension you need them to be, so they'll always fit the pan perfectly. And of course, quality control. But I will say that don't stack your noodles like this, because let's just say that I kind of left them like this a little too long, and maybe they all stuck together,
So if you do this, the way to do it, number one, you shouldn't. Ultimately, you shouldn't. But this is a very common practice when you're making dumplings and you're rolling out the dumpling skins. You make these stacks of dumpling skins and you use it later. The secret is actually cornstarch. Then it won't stick together. What are you thinking about? How is the cornstarch going to affect the?
The sauce.
It could, but it could also
just thicken it.
It could help. I've always
but it's
used
not a buttery thickness. It's more of a gelatinous thickness with cornstarch.
Yes, but I don't think it's enough cornstarch for you to notice.
Okay.
But I've never tried it, so I don't know. I'm just telling you
That's why
my experience.
I had to think the steps through.
Yeah, I'm just telling you from my experience working with doughs. I've made so many dumplings over my career, and the way we prevent the skins from sticking is with cornstarch.
Fresh pasta, you're only going to blanch them in that water for about 10 seconds, pull them out, and then immediately drain them.
Yeah, fresh pasta is super quick.
Because they're fresh. Now for dry pasta, you just want to cook it until it's very, very al dente. You want it to be underdone. But honestly, you can also just get away with using lasagna sheets that literally cook in the oven in your lasagna and not have to blanch.
Because it's fresh pasta, do you have to cook it?
That's the thing. I would have just gone in raw.
Yeah, but would it have been too starchy?
With fresh pasta,
it's different.
It's different. You're right.
Yeah.
The fresh pasta.
You have to cook. You gotta season.
You have to cook it.
It's gotta get seasoned.
Yeah, because there's so much moisture in fresh pasta. It doesn't need to absorb anything. It just needs to get heated up. Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with you. The sheets should get cooked off, but it also should, in my mind, should not require nearly as long of a bake time. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then you just got to compensate the recipe.
The sauce. That means you have to use a thicker sauce, a thicker bechamel, stuff like that.
So first grease a 9x13-inch baking pan with butter, or a casserole dish works well. Just make sure that it's rectangular. And then apply a very thin layer of your sauce on the bottom just to prevent your lasagna from sticking.
Yeah,
then a layer of pasta sheets. Now obviously I got only 2 survivors of my homemade pasta, so that made a good base. If it needs to be pre-cooked, make sure that you're pre-cooking it, or you can use those lasagna sheets that bake in the ovens. Then spread a thin layer of half a cup or 125 grams of whole loaf ricotta, followed by some fresh torn basil leaves, and then a layer of prosciutto di Parma.
That's where you win.
I know it's not traditional, but I like it in there. Then
I know it's not traditional, but fuck you, I like it.
Layer of your meat sauce about the same amount as the ricotta. Spread that out nice and evenly and thin. Then grate an entire layer of Parmigiano Reggiano, and then optionally another layer of Fontina cheese. which
Hell
I'm a fan
yeah.
of. And then
Love
lastly,
Fontina.
a nice layer of some thinly sliced fresh mozzarella. Now this is the moment that I had to switch to pre-made noodles because I had just recently discovered the tragedy that happened to my fresh noodles. But anyway, you're gonna do another layer of pasta
It's gonna have
and then you're
two
gonna repeat
different
the same process as
consistencies.
before. You're gonna do another layer of ricotta, then meat sauce, then basil leaves, then prosciutto, and then cheeses. Then just repeat that 2 to 3 more times or until the pan is full and you've finished it with another and final layer of just sauce and a generous amount of cheese on
when
it.
you make the lasagna, we use those deep ones because you get like the magic is in the layers.
Right. It's in the layers. Also, you actually a good rule of thumb is to typically go a pot or pan or bowl size bigger than you think you need. It gives you more room to play with, but
the visual, like your portion, if you're baking it right, and you're going high, right, your portion is not in the width; it's in the slice.
Right.
So you're going from top to bottom.
Right.
So you want to see that beautiful
the layers.
The layers.
Yeah. Also, what's great about using a taller pan is that because in the cooking process, the layers will actually rise. There's so much moisture in between every layer. As it gets heated, it'll create steam and it'll actually elevate it a little. After you pull it out, it'll actually sink down. That's why usually a lasagna like this, you'll have a lot of spillover on the side. By using a taller tray, it'll rise, it'll sink, and then you'll have that crust that forms on the side. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. That's
a part you steal before you give it to the customer.
Yeah.
Mind you, it will be filled to the brim. Then place the lasagna behemoth on a baking sheet and place
because
it in
it's
an
so
oven
close
that
to
is
the
preheated
to the rim.
350
You want
degrees
that's just saved his oven.
Yes, you do not want to put that baking sheet, directly
into the oven
because it will spill over.
165 degrees Celsius for about 1 hour, or until the lasagna is nice and brown on top and bubbling slightly. Then, and I cannot stress this enough, let it rest for 20 to 25 minutes. If you cut it while it's still hot.
Why? Because you want to be able to serve it.
Yes, right.
And then it'll still be hot. It'll be plenty hot, and then it'll stay together.
Yes, right. It'll kind of glue
keep its shape. It'll
together.
keep its shape.
Yeah, keep its shape. If you cut into it right when it comes out of the oven, it's just going to.
Like even a pizza.
I was just about to say, even a pizza, right? Sometimes you get lucky. You get to the pizzeria, when you get the slice that just came out of the oven. It's delicious, but I like to let it sit a little bit because if they serve that to you right away, the cheese will fall off.
Just slides off.
Just slides right off. But if you let that slice just kind of sit just a few minutes, it'll just glue together with that sauce. Oh, that's so good.
Trust me, you don't want that. Once it's all done and rested, you know what to do. Just do what Garfield does and go ham on that hoe. But you want to know what else Garfield does other than enjoy LASAGNA?
B-roll. Oh, you are so right about the meat fat. That clear fat. Ooh.
It's perfect. Listen, as good as that look, and I'm like hungry for it, I could totally make that lasagna even better.
100%. But I think that's a very good.
Like a one step that, like for the home cooks, is to make your lasagna, right? Let that refrigerate overnight.
Yeah.
Let that sit overnight. So
let it rest in room temperature. Get to room temperature, then put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
And then take it out. Then slice it.
And then you heat up each individual portion, like in a cask. So it sears.
Yes, I like this.
I like this.
Well, you're not going to like this. I'm sorry, buddy.
Saw already.
Yeah, you saw already. So before we get into this car crash of a lasagna, Frenchie, do you remember that time I got into an accident on the highway? I got rear-ended, car was totaled, really bad back injury, lawyer visits, and then paperwork, and scheduling more lawyer visits and more paperwork, and probably wouldn't have been so hard if I had Morgan & Morgan, where the process would have been a whole lot easier, and they fight for the best results possible. When you're seriously hurt, your injury could be worth millions. And Morgan & Morgan doesn't settle for lowball offers. They've achieved significant verdicts in the past few months for victims of life-altering car crashes. I'm talking $12 million in Florida, 34 times the highest insurance offer, and $26 million in Philadelphia. That's 40 times the highest insurance offer. And the fee? There is no fee because it's free unless you win. If you ever get seriously injured, your case could be worth millions and you're only a few clicks away from potentially changing your life forever. You can see if you have a case with Morgan & Morgan now by clicking the link in the description below or scanning the QR code on the screen. This lasagna was
a tragedy.
I haven't seen this video yet.
You haven't?
No, I haven't. But the only
comments. What did the comments say?
This was heavily requested in the comments. Just like
requested for us to watch it.
Yeah, you know, we got a lot of requests to do Jamie Oliver's pad thai video. This is in that Jamie Oliver pad thai video. In the comments, people are like, please do Jamie Oliver's one pot lasagna. Oh, fuck me.
What?
Look at the ingredients.
I wasn't even looking at the screen yet. Hold on.
Dude.
Okay.
What the fuck is that?
Is that mustard?
Yes.
And is that a leek?
Yes.
And what's next to the leek?
Asparagus.
Oh, we're making a vegetarian lasagna
yes,
again.
We are.
But by definition, is the pasta vegetarian?
Yes.
I'm going to show you how to make an absolutely delicious one-pan veggie lasagna. It's delicious. It's full of color.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right. We can tell you already.
I can tell you already that it has peas in it.
I did not know this. Listen, I'm fine with peas. Just Frenchy has an aversion to peas. Did you see he didn't let it rest? That is a clear sign of an unrested lasagna right there. Also,
it was simmering.
If you make something with a lot of veggies, you have to
water.
Yes, there you go.
Oh.
You have to remember there's a lot of water content, so you probably have to cook everything longer, before you assemble to remove the water content.
Lovely sweet leeks with butter. We've got asparagus.
No, we don't have to watch this.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
This is a bad lasagna.
Yes, I know.
And the method is really simple. I've stripped it right down so that you can make it all in one pan. There's only one thing to wash up. We get it in that oven, and in about 40 minutes, you have got something that you're absolutely gonna love.
So let's keep that in mind. This is for the home cook.
What is he calling this again?
The one-pan scruffy veg lasagna. I don't know why you would want to call your dish scruffy, but okay. Listen, this dish is meant to be for the home cook to be replicated easily.
First up, we're gonna slice up a leek. So what I do is I strip the outer leaf off like this, just get the knife and just run it down like that. So what I want to do is just show you a way to clean these efficiently.
That he removed that outer part
away from the root.
It's tough.
And leeks, you have to clean leeks.
So over to the sink, give it a little bit of a wash, finely slice the green part, and then as we get to the white part of the leek, then we're going to go from finely sliced to little slices like that. Right? Why? Because it's more kind of chunky and substantial.
Also, the parts closer to the white end are more tender.
What does this have to do with lasagna?
I'm going to go in with a knob of butter.
Oh,
and then
I think that's made in. That's an English cast iron.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Again, you could give them you could give British people the best tools, the best of everything, and it's still fault. Like, seriously, the best ovens, the best cast iron, the best tools, the best ingredients.
What about Chef Marco Pierre White?
That's like the exception to the rule. And there's always an exception to the rule.
Heston Blumenthal.
Marco Pierre is a god.
Yeah, and then
he was the first rock and roll chef.
Yeah. Gordon Ramsay's Scottish, so you can't count him. Oh, no, I don't know. Is that part of the UK or?
Depends. Ask them.
Oh yeah.
Ask the Irish.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, get your point.
Ask the Scots and the Welsh.
Yes, point taken.
No, they're very proud of
who they are. Yeah.
Who they are.
Yeah.
So no. When I mean Brit, I mean
extra virgin olive oil. I'm then going to go in with the leeks. So we're going to sweat off.
Such a waste of time.
For about 10 minutes. So we've got fresh asparagus. Also, I'm going to big it up with frozen veggies. So I've got some frozen peas and some frozen boiled beans.
Ooh.
With the asparagus,
Lima beans.
I'll pretty much always...
It's just way too many vegetables for one dish.
Yeah.
Come on.
I nearly always turn that into a soup or a sauce.
Dude. Okay. The asparagus, right?
Yeah.
they're all the same consistency at the end.
Yeah.
So line up all the tips together.
Yes.
And then start cutting. Oh, I hate you.
Yeah. Oh,
I hate you.
Yes. So he did
see, line up all the tips.
Yes, line up. Just a tip, Jacques. Yeah. He didn't even bother lining up all the bottom ends.
No, you line up the tips, the top ends.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the tips. Yes, you're right. Yes.
I am the angry now.
Yeah, I know you're the angry.
Because now you're mixing in all different.
Yes.
This is bullshit. You still have tough pieces.
With this part of the asparagus, the stalks, just finely slice it like that. What I like to do is save the tips to put in at the last moment. So in we go with the stalks, and we're going to cook that down. So
That's
really
going to be
nice
rough.
and soft.
That's going to be rough.
He should have peeled them.
Yeah.
Asparagus that big in particular, they're very woody.
A nice pinch of salt. A nice pinch of pepper.
At least he's putting
and we'll just
seasoning.
let this simmer away. You can add a little swig of water to create a little bit of humidity in the pan.
No.
Him and his water. The point is to remove the water. There is so much water in vegetables. You don't need more water.
So look, let that sweat off now.
He just
for about
loves
10
to add
minutes.
water
Feel
to things.
Sweet, soft, and delicious.
What's the enemy of flavor?
Jamie Oliver.
So look, this has had about 10 minutes now. So traditionally you'd make a bechamel, but that's another pan or two, right, to wash up and deal with. But actually we can do it all in the pan.
Wasn't it supposed to be one pot?
No, he's saying normally you would have a bechamel, so that would be an additional pot.
So he's doing a roux with the
Which this is a common technique
Yeah.
when you put flour into something that's been cooking in fat. It's called sangé. You're basically creating a roux because a roux is a combination of flour and fat, and it's something
purpose
that's
of
used
it being a thickening
agent. Yes. So this is a legit technique. However, you should sprinkle it. You're going to get lumps this way, but
at this point nobody cares.
I don't know.
So 2 tables or 50 grams of plain flour goes in. I'm also going to put 2 teaspoons of English mustard in. Then stir it in.
Him and his mustard.
It's not a lasagna,
Yeah.
right?
No, he's making a lasagna.
No,
one pot lasagna.
no, he's not.
Yes, he is. That's
No, he's
what's
not.
the name of the video.
But I'm telling you, he's not.
Yeah, no, well, we know it's not a lasagna. This is Jamie Oliver. I should show you his carbonara video.
No.
No, because it's actually good.
Oh,
The thing is, he like fucks it up. You have to watch it.
you can tell me. I'll forget about it.
Oh yeah, true. You'll forget
How
it.
does he fuck it up?
He uses
Overcomplicates it.
No, he actually doesn't. It's like you can tell he probably made this at a restaurant
100
times in the early
It's
part of his
probably
career.
copying somebody, a real chef's recipe.
Right. He used just way too much freshly ground black pepper. Now, I know that a carbonara is supposed to have a lot of black pepper, but remember, freshly ground black pepper
It's
and
potent.
pre-ground are two completely different animals. Like, he knows some basics, and we know this is not going to be a lasagna, but I just don't know why. Like, in his, what dish did he add mustard to? Not the grilled cheese.
I try not to keep
the mac and cheese.
I try not to have core memories of Jamie Oliver.
He loves to put. I guess he likes to put mustard in his dairy dishes.
Jam and
jam. Yeah, well, jam is in the Asian
olive
dishes.
oil
Olive oil to Asian dishes. Yeah.
Milk, scrape the bottom of the pan.
Why
As
not
that comes up to
cream
boil,
at the
let's
very
talk about
least?
frozen veg.
Oh, I guess
Maybe
he's
something
making
you
a
haven't
bechamel.
got
Yeah.
Is broad beans, 300 grams
Ugh.
of that. we're
That
gonna
I'm
use.
not down with.
Then put 300 grams of frozen
This
peas.
is wow,
Move it around.
dude. That's a lot.
like for it to be a lasagna, it's the delicate balance between pasta and filling.
Yeah.
Like how? That's way too much.
I don't know how he's gonna create the layers in that though.
And like, do you sink it in? and you sink it in. And it's like another one. Like, how does that
I
work?
have no idea. Let's keep watching.
Let's
This
get
is
that to
stupid.
simmering for 5 minutes. While that's happening, let me show you the herb in question.
Herb?
Half a bunch of mint. And
Mint?
literally all I
Mint?
do is
No,
just
come on.
rip off.
Oh, that's like an English pea recipe again.
Yeah.
Fucking mint.
I like mint and savory things, not in a lasagna. No, the utilization in mint, it goes great in savory. I've had a lot of savory dishes with mint, specifically a lot of Southeast Asian dishes. Even in like Moroccan style food, there's
Yes.
mint in it.
Oh yeah, Moroccan.
Yeah, and those are like
Oh, you just
heavy.
brought it back to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some heavy really savory Moroccan dishes with mint cooked into it. But lasagna, no.
Just give people what they want. Lasagna, people know what a lasagna looks like.
Yeah.
Those top mint leaves.
Okay, let's get this over.
No. Oh yeah. We
and
keep
I'm
watching.
just going to fairly roughly chop the mint.
Mint
It's going to taste
in
absolutely
lasagna.
amazing. Stir that in. Okay, so I am going to be not traditional again.
No Sherlock.
Using Parmesan.
I would like to
because love
Professor
it.
Moriarty your ass.
So I'm using some cheddar. Cheddar's an amazing cheese. It's full of flavour and it melts and
Why
oozes
cheddar?
in the most beautiful way. So 80 grams of cheddar.
You
and
can
I'm
put a
gonna do
little
the same
cheddar
with
if you
Parmesan.
really-
So
but
get yourself
no.
a little potato masher. And just
Mozzarella.
mash it. Just put your weight
What?
into it and you can feel the broad beans and
Did you hear that? You can feel the broad beans popping. Why do you need this step? If you just let it cook longer, it will mush itself.
Then I'm going to go in with most of the cheese, right? Not all of it, most of it. And the asparagus tips, right?
I'm
and then
so not happy.
the curveball, of course, is the pasta. So the key here is using fresh lasagna sheets. It's brilliant. You can get it in all the supermarkets. And the fact that it's fresh means it cooks very quickly and it's really elegant, silky, and very kind
Don't
of
tell me you're
luxurious.
just gonna-
I'm literally going to grab it like a pack of cards and tear it. And then all I'm going to do, right, is just dish out the lasagna cards around.
You were right. You were right.
I was joking. I was joking.
Holy shit. Oh my god. What the fuck is this?
That is horrible.
I'm sorry. People, listen, if you want a simplified lasagna dish, don't make a lasagna. Just make pasta with a cream sauce.
How much money is he sitting on that he doesn't care?
Yeah, that he just doesn't give a fuck.
Like, does he sit on piles of money that he
Why
doesn't
do
care?
you need to make a one-pot lasagna? Do you know what I mean?
Like, again, this is not a lasagna.
Yeah, it's not. But
This concoction it's just gross.
yeah.
Lasagna when you serve this at the table, right? We are not mucking about, we're just getting on with it. So there we go, another little layer. So this will serve
how are you gonna get
6 people
consistency?
really nicely. So I think this is a really lovely meal for any day of the week, actually.
No, it's not a lovely meal for any day of the week.
Stop yelling.
I'm sorry. I'm getting.
You're getting emotional.
I am very. What? You're not.
I'm beaten now.
I'm extroverting your
Internalizing.
Your internalized.
Going to blow up.
And what I like to do, you know, just to be aesthetic, is kind
Aesthetic?
of have a nice layer of pasta on the top. And then the last little flourish of love and care is just a little
Love
cheese,
and care.
so you get those lovely crispy bits.
There's no love
So
and
the
care.
last ingredient for a little flourish of texture, flavour and nutrition
What's
is
that?
almonds. A nice little handful
What?
of almonds. And what I love to do is just bash them up. Have some fine, have some whole, have some cracked. And then I'll literally
the
just let that...
Imagine you like look at that crispy crust and you bite into a fucking almond. Oh, you're a piece of shit. You really are. I don't like this.
Snow down on our lovely lasagna.
You know, we
here.
don't have
almonds,
to watch these.
a little kiss of olive
Yeah, we
oil.
do.
No, we
And then
don't.
Yes,
if you
we
want to,
do.
as an
No.
option, like-
Yes.
Well, why can't we watch them like some old French chef making some nice fucking dish?
Because people want to see the reaction.
I'll react like I'll be like,
But that's
People don't
why
wanna see
that's
that?
why I showed you the nice first, and then.
yeah, but it's already like gone.
But I'm gonna buy you dinner. Everything's
you're
gonna be.
buy me dinner, all right?
Oh fuck.
A little kiss of olive oil.
And there it is.
If you want to, as an optional extra, get yourself a lemon and just a little bit of the zest, just a tiny bit, right? Not the juice, just the zest. Will just give
At this
you a
point, it
perfume
can't
and
fucking
lightness
hurt.
through. So that's it. That is my one-pan veggie lasagna. That's now going to go in the oven for 25 minutes.
You could have taken all these ingredients and actually made a fantastic dish.
Pasta sauce.
A pasta sauce, a creamy
No.
pasta sauce, but just
Almonds?
That's all. 25 minutes. That's it. It'll be crispy, gnarly, blippy,
Gnarly.
comforting, and the temperature
Blippy? What's
is
blippy?
at 200 degrees Celsius,
What's gnarly?
400 Fahrenheit.
Because
So-
gnarly
In it
could be
goes.
good when you're skateboarding, but gnarly also means that it's horrible.
yes.
You pudgy little
So the lasagna has had 25 minutes. It's looking and smelling amazing. Look at that.
Yeah, I just
Imagine
want you
that
to
on
pick
the
up on
dinner
all that
table.
grease on top.
Absolute bliss. Absolutely beautiful. One of the things that you can do.
Oh, because we're not done. Let's add something
is
else.
Put a little bit of pesto on the top, just little tiny bombs of it, and
The pesto
This
is
is
it's too
so
late.
overcomplicated.
It's too late.
So he said this is a simple one-pot meal, but he could have done with a couple less just why am I trying to fight for this dish right now? Just
We're not done.
oh, because it's
We don't
his
want to use loads
pesto.
of it,
That's
but
why.
Finish it
little
off.
bombs of pesto. As you start serving this, just mix up with the lovely creamy hot white sauce. Just a little bit goes a long way. So
Listen,
look,
cream and pesto is
our
great,
plates.
but
let's serve up.
Why don't you get your lettuce leaves and then fill those up like you did last time?
he's not even letting
not
it
even
rest. It's
appetizing.
still
It is not
he's
appetizing.
cutting into it while it's bubbling.
So this will.
You were joking about him folding
I
in the
was.
pasta sheet.
He did
You
that.
see
And
the
he
crispy
did
bits
that.
inside?
Oh, so you get.
Stodgy, crispy, juicy.
See the. You see? Do you
Maybe
see what I
just a
mean?
little
You're
bit
not
of
getting.
parmesan on top.
You're not getting consistency.
And that, my
Oh,
friends,
so many.
Right, let's have a little try.
Listen, let's get some real lasagna. I want you to know
My tummy hurts.
I want you to know that I love you.
No, you
And before we close out this episode, I do want to say to all of my amazing patrons, thank you so much for your support. I really couldn't do this without your help. And for the rest of you, please consider becoming a patron by visiting the link in the description below. By becoming a patron, you get to take advantage of some awesome perks like early access to new episodes and patron exclusive content. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video as much as we did making it. And remember, it always gets better. And with that said, I'm Chef Brian Tsao, not your typical chef.
I don't know if we could stick to that tagline because that does not get better.
Say bye to the wide cam.
But life does, baby.
Yeah, life does. Bye.